อมาในเซสชันนี้ค่ะเรายังจะคงพูดถึงนะคะประสบการณ์แล้วก็การแลกเปลี่ยนเรื่องการปฏิบัติงานด้านสื่อในช่วงสถานการณ์โควิด -19 ในต่างประเทศกันอยู่หรือชื่อช่วงก็คือ Sharing Experiences and Practices During COVID-19 นะคะโดยเราได้รับเกียรติค่ะจากคุณเนตราซึ่งท่านดำรงตำแหน่ง Group Director Media Business ที่ The Capital มหาราชา Organization ซึ่งถือว่าเป็นบริษัทมีเดียยักษ์ใหญ่ของศรีลังกามีสถานีโทรทัศน์3สถานีสถานีวิทยุอีก5สถานีนะคะคุณเนตราเองเนี่ยเคยได้รับรางวัล Gold Award for Media at the Top 50 Professional and Career Women Awards ของศรีลังกาในปี 2017 อีกด้วยค่ะเพื่อให้การเสียเวลานะคะเราไปฟังประสบการณ์ในการทำงานช่วงโควิด -19 ในศรีลังกาจากคุณเนตราได้เลยค่ะ
Yeah, good morning. And firstly, thank you very much to National Broadcasting Services of Thailand for inviting me to speak in your in-country workshop. And also thank you to the ABU for the introduction to this. I'm going to spend a little time sharing experiences, but I'm going to spend more time talking about how we can move forward, I think will be more useful. So as you know, coronavirus led to the so-called globally connected entity into a multitude of isolated entities. Most of us has never experienced this previously, as we saw in the previous video as well. Many segments of society we belong to were challenged and changed and then adapted. We had to face a new reality where we had to allocate resources based on scenario planning, with more than a third of the world's population facing some restriction on movement. One of the main changes for us was the shift towards increasingly digital, mobile, and social media environment. It was the technology, through its ability to connect virtually, that kept the world connected somewhat. With so much uncertainty, reassurance on job security and special care and support with regard to health and safety of the staff was needed. The challenge was to step up within a short time and deliver while also planning our next steps. We are now in our third wave in Sri Lanka, and what may affect many now is COVID fatigue. Even among staff, you will need to watch for signs of fatigue. It's different to when we first faced this pandemic. You know, everybody stepped up into crisis mode at the beginning with a lot of energy that exposed both the strong and weak links in your team. I'm sure I saw not only managers possessing leadership skills, but it was apparent that any team member could demonstrate good leadership, especially at a time like this. We recognize many staff who took on the responsibility to strategize and communicate and encourage team members, both colleagues and superiors. A year and a half later, some of them have taken on extra duties to ensure the operation runs smoothly. This is particularly important during these challenging times, especially as we are a 24/7 operation. We had a team attending to daily operation without interrupting, even during lockdown. We were in the middle of producing 2 international franchise reality shows, The Voice and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Along with this, we had to run 24/7 news operation. We made arrangement for staff accommodation, meals, and worked on shifts to reduce the spread of infection. Any of you who have handled multi-camera reality audience shows will know the complexity of production and so many restrictions. We gave high priority to staff health and safety first, and then where possible, we simplified and consolidated internal processes to streamline the business. A central lesson of this crisis was probably that it revealed hidden talent and skills previously unseen in many staff. It gave us the opportunity to recalibrate the team, reorganize, and recognize a formal and informal hierarchical structure which identified their strengths and how they can be realigned. Now, with the situation extending beyond a financial year for most businesses, we come to something which I call the adversity paradox. On one hand, you are managing the crisis and setting up new ways of working in the current context to safeguard your business. And on the other hand, you are looking forward to and planning how to get back to normal as soon as possible. So you see the adversity paradox that staff have to deal with. Therefore, to navigate through still many unknowns with COVID-19, we have to maintain productivity. we may need to revisit key assumptions in daily operation and financial projections. We have to model scenarios on the lines of both aggressive and conservative timelines to be ready as opportunities emerge, to be in a position to exploit these opportunities both internally with our teams and externally with our customers. Building a strong team, in my view, will give you the opportunity to reset roles and responsibilities based on new business needs. The difference between success and failure will be how strong your team is. As leaders, it is your responsibility to build strong teams. If I was moving on to how we are taking this forward, I believe we should think about and plan for a future beyond conventional media. What will be important is for us to understand the dynamic competitive landscape. The move is now towards an increasingly digital, mobile, and social media environment. The progress of media technology and the pace of technology change, it almost feels like we're on a treadmill of continuous reinvention. We need to master how these technologies will enable new offerings and their role in evolution of the business in terms of making use of verticals that add value and explore the business opportunities, especially with the evolving nature of revenue generation through audiences with varied consumption habits. For example, you have verticals in your Thai broadcasting of TV, radio, and online platforms. Look for synergies that will help you to push content to these varied audiences. In order to meet these needs, you need a strong content strategy. With a strong content strategy in place, you must think about content delivery strategy. Content customization for each audience, especially with your multifunctional, multi-platform distribution. The past year gave us the opportunity to identify and address several areas, such as different delivery methods or new product development. The environment is so dynamic, we have no option but to keep innovating, and I see that as a positive. We have to make changes to be inclusive, diverse, and flexible enough to connect to changing audiences and make connections for the users. Content relevance and accessibility, these two aspects will be key. The times may have changed and the technology and the methods have changed too. However, what will retain and grow audiences and set apart the trailblazers will be how relevant you remain to your changing audiences. Also, how accessible you remain to your audiences. They will have evolving consumption habits in dealing with present-day audiences. We are dealing with people of high social intelligence. We often wonder why we are not getting the responses we think we should. Most times it's because our audience has moved to other ways of consumption. They have evolved without even us noticing. You need to be alert and aware. Be that as it may, navigating solutions, one size will not fit all. What will differentiate you is how relevant you are to your audience. You must connect in ways your audience wants to connect, communicate, and engage. Not only understanding audiences, but knowing the trends heading your way and having a strategy to take advantage of it is something you should prepare for. For commercial stations like us, this connection we have with our audience will be key in developing our future content. This will strengthen the loyalty between audience and brand. This will in turn give us the edge to connect the advertisers, brands with them, and to build partnerships, which will ultimately bring value. You must understand how important each of these steps are to your business. The issues facing all parts of the industry are strikingly similar. I believe success will depend on those media outlets that can deliver accurate, transparent, up-to-the-minute updates on news, connecting the dots for news and current affairs, combined with compelling content for entertainment. So in a way, your new normal is not much different to the old. However, in the face of challenges and disruptive forces, we need to consider where and how we should be playing. For this, you need to reconsider your relationship with your audience, your partners, and your advertisers. As broadcasters, we are used to broadcasting, but in these current times, the dynamics have changed, where we also need to become listeners. This means you need to listen to what your audience is saying. You need to observe their comments and engagements over a period of time. Look at successes among your audience. I'm sure you must be doing your data analytics too. And an important aspect would be also to keep an eye on competition and how they are targeting their audience. Reinvent but remain relevant. Relevance in whatever you do will ensure your long-term sustainability and connection with your audiences, as well as gain you new audiences. At the same time, invest in human capital. On-the-job training to improve workforce quality, in my view, must be a priority. Such investments return back to the organization and the economy. Human capital investment and economic growth have a strong correlation. At this stage, it is impossible to predict how long this outbreak and shutdown will last or the lingering effects on business. Disruption has occurred and almost all sectors of the economy impacted. Like I said before, build a strong team and plan ahead. Planners should understand that simplification of processes and agility will give them a head start, while saying that you must also understand you can have the best plan, but it's up to each and every member of the team to ensure you are well prepared in your area. So as a whole, we can excel. Moving ahead for broadcasters and content creators like us, there is an opportunity on many fronts to make use of the shift in consumption and establish a leadership position in a changed environment of the media landscape. What is great about the current media landscape is the emergence of opportunities which blend the advantages of all media types. What is powerful about it is the fact that all this converging simultaneously, this gives us broadcasters limitless opportunities. I admit it can be challenging to find new ways to meet these changes in such times. Functions that seem important in the past may be irrelevant when allocating resources based on scenario planning in the future. However, we must find the right balance with the new ways, and this necessarily does not mean you change your principles, fundamentals, or what your brand represents. You should not be too hasty to dismiss what has worked for us up to now. Your staff health and safety, maintain productivity, invest in human capital, build a strong team with focus on new business needs, plan for a future beyond conventional broadcasting. Can you move up, please? Be aware of the shift in consumption and evolving industry trends and find the right balance. Reinvent but remain relevant to ensure long-term sustainability. And content relevance and content accessibility to retain and grow audiences.